what's up? It's Grace, and right now I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite quotes. Since I do read a lot, I have a lot of favorite quotes. I only have 5 here, but I believe quality over quantity, especially when it comes to words, because words can mean a bunch of things for different people. The quotes that I'm going to talk about today are from some of my favorite books. So for people who have not read them, they may not mean anything because there's no context, no story to kind of back these quotes up, but I think that people can just recognize how beautifully the words are strung together, or if, you know, just listening to it, it means something to you guys. I love those moments in reading where words are just so beautiful that I have to like stop reading, grab like a little tabby note and tab my book. I love that. I think I'm gonna make this a series of videos on my channel because I am constantly reading new books and finding new quotes that I love, so I think that this would be an awesome idea. The first quote that I'm going to talk about right now is from The Book Thief, which is, if you didn't know, my all-time favorite book. I have a bunch of different editions, but this is my favorite because it's the collector's special anniversary edition. This book is full of so many quotes. Just pretty much the whole book is just, you could just consider it one big quote, how beautifully the words are strung together and just how beautiful and sentimental everything is. But one quote in particular stuck with me after reading it, and it is, "I have hated words and I have loved them, and I hope I made them right." I think that quote pretty much wraps up this entire novel because these words are so beautiful, but in the situation that it is in, it's ugly, but it's still beautiful. It's so hard to explain, but I love that quote with all my heart. And even if you are taking this quote, it got really dark all of a sudden, but even if you're taking this quote out of context, like you don't even know that it's from this book, you've hated words and you've loved them. It's so true. Like, people can say the sweetest of things, but they could also just tear you down with words. Words are the biggest weapon, but I love that quote so much. My next favorite quote is also from The Book Thief, and it's, "Even death has a heart." If you didn't know, The Book Thief is narrated by Death, so Death is a huge presence of this novel. And you think Death is going to be this horrible omen that's surrounding and kind of like dragging you down, but it's not. Like, Death has a heart, and it doesn't even necessarily want to do what it's doing, but it's doing what has to be done. And when you find that quote in this book, it just has a huge impact on you. At least it did for me. I'm actually coming up with a tattoo that I want. It's going to be The Book Thief, and I do want to incorporate that quote somewhere in my tattoo. I think that'd be awesome. But even death has a heart is just, I love it. My next favorite quote is from The Raven Boys. My best friend is currently reading it right now, so I'll just show you the Dream Thieves, which is my favorite book out of the series. And the quote that I love is, "If I was a tree, I would have no reason to love a human." That quote speaks to me on a deep tree hugger level. As humans, we want to help our planet, but, you know, a John Green quote that I'm going to say is, "We're as likely to hurt the planet as we are to save it." I love that quote. But anyway, I think that is, if I were a tree, I would have no reason to love a human. That just hit me. I was like, damn, that's true. Because we use trees, a source of oxygen for our planet, for silly things. And books. I mean, we can have, you know, trees become books. I'm cool with that. But I mean other things, and we tear down trees and we build things on, you know, the sources are resources for the planet, and I just think that is kind of mind-boggling in itself. Maggie Stiefvater has such a lyrical way with words. Every pretty much sentence is just so beautifully constructed that as I was reading the series, I was just trying to tab everything that I could because it just meant so much to me, but especially that one. My next favorite quote is from the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. This series was my life as a little child. And I remember reading the quote, "A wonderful laugh is no excuse for villainous behavior." And my little mind just sucked up that quote, and I've carried that with me. Because yeah, it's great to joke around and have fun, but to intentionally hurt someone or just be villainous or cruel about it is not okay. There is no excuse for it. I just love that quote. I like to tell that to my niece and nephew. It's simple, it's to the point, but it also makes you think. Next favorite quote is from The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I read this book a couple years back, and it's still just very fresh and vivid in my mind. I always just kind of find myself thinking back to this book and what it means to me. This quote in particular really struck with me, and it is, "Different people remember things differently, and you'll not get any two people to remember anything the same whether they were there or not." I think this kind of goes in the line of no two people read the same book. I think everyone perceives things differently, and I always think about this quote when people tell me stories, because often people's stories change, and they even may in fact believe that it might have gone a certain way, but it didn't, and I believe that there is a billion sides to every story. And it kind of makes me think that, you know, in some cases when somebody's in the wrong, but they really don't see that they're in the wrong, and it's very hard for other people to kind of make them aware of their behavior, or, you know, vice versa. So I always say, like, you know, if you're in a certain situation and, you know, somebody hurts your feelings and they're like, oh, well, it didn't go this way, it went this way, you're too sensitive, or something like that. It's like, hey, you hurt my feelings, you're not allowed to say that you didn't, kind of thing. And I think that that quote is just very beautiful. And I've just used that quote a lot in my kind of everyday life as a mindset. So those were 5 of my favorite quotes. If you have any quotes that you want to tell me, I would love to know, because I am constantly writing them down and filling up my quote journal. It's just always so awesome to find something that really hits you and speaks to you on, you know, that level. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.